Since my last video on Sprinter rear brakes cuts out halfway through for some reason, I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to be changing disc pads and setting up the rear drums in here. So I'm going to show you how to do it. First you need 13mm to knock these sliders out. Once you've got 13mm out, and you can make sure the sliders are free, which these ones aren't. Are they? Yeah. Take the two 13s out, and then there's two, I can't remember what it says here, I think they're 21s, I'll double check. Right, so you got the two 13s in here, you got 21s for the rear caliper carrier, and you got a TX30 in there, pretty sure it's TX30, I'll have to double check it. So once you've got them cracked off, just unplug, depending on what size you're on, unplug your wear sensor, and with these calipers, because they're not, the handbrake's not inside them, internal, you can get the bar in, push the caliper back, saves you doing it later, so just push the caliper back, nice and gentle pressure, well, it's a lot of pressure but gently, if that makes sense. Push the caliper all the way back, once it's home you'll know. Take your two 13 carrier bolts out, caliper bolts out, like that. Caliper will come off, careful because it hangs on the thingy. I'm going to go get it, hold on, there we go. So just put your caliper, sit on top of the leaf spring, get your 21 and crack the two carrier bolts off, and there's this TX30 in here, which I've already cracked off, which can be awkward. Just unscrew that. It's easier to do this while the thing's more together, otherwise it can be a pain in the arse holding it. You can't hold it on the handbrake, but if your handbrake's crap then it's a pain in the arse. So these two out. Once the carrier's off, it can be damn tight, like really tight. There's awkward that one. Take your screw for your disc. Hopefully, unless you've got a big lip on your disc, your hub, it should just knock off. Use a rubber mallet if you're using your disc again, but I'm not, so there we go, that's free. Then yeah, take your disc off. This is just the other side. The other side came off, no bother, but this one, it's hanging on the shoes on inside, so what you want to do is spin the disc until you can get into the location for the adjuster, wind the adjuster all the way off, and then once you got it all the way off, give it a knock, it'll reset the shoes, or it should reset the shoes, and then hopefully the disc should just pull off. Let's see if I can just get it like that. Sorted. So once you've got the disc off, it might take a little bit of persuading with a knock and stick, but you'll see in here, this disc is knackered because the internal drum's shot, just rotten. It'll do an alright job holding the van, but not properly. So, just getting a new one on. We'll clean up the handbrake shoes and lubricate the adjuster. Set adjuster on the new one, and we'll put it all back together. So, give them a quick wipe this off, get the loose off. Crap off. Give them out the face of the hub a good scrub off, and if there's any rusty scale, it's a good idea to give it a good clean off. Make sure it's clean because that's the main face for your disc. Give it a clean off, and then disc. This is your adjuster. There is holes to go through it, but I've got the hand to get in here a bit. So to wind it up, it's video stopped. So to wind it up, this is on the right hand side. You go inwards, and it'll push the adjuster up and separate the shoes. And then you just want it just so there's enough friction as it goes into the drum here. There we go. So you can just hear there's a little bit of resistance there, and we'll set it up in a minute once we get the shoes that there's some pads on. Don't worry, I will clean this off. My hands are grubby. Next bit, get your wire brush. You leave the shims in. Make sure you get clean off. The wire brush off. Nice and clean. And then take your shims out. Give them another wire brush underneath. If like these ones, they are built up and a bit scaly, get a file, I'm using a belt sander, and give them a good clean off so they're nice and clean and flat. So there's no resistance for the pads to move freely. So with them cleaned out, get a little bit of copper grease. Or other people use aluminium, silver stuff now, I still use copper grease. Put in there. Put your shims in and a bit, put your shims in wrong way around. Make sure you tag against the outside, otherwise it'll hit the disc. Wrong one. That one. And then, because they're clean, we'll just put a bit of copper strip on the pads. So I've given the carrier bolts a quick wire brush off and put a little bit of copper strip on because they were ridiculously tight coming out, so a little bit of copper strip will help them next time. So once you've got the carrier on, nipped up, always make sure we always check everything's spanner tight at the end. So just rest this on my knee, a bit of copper strip, just copper grease the ends up, just your contact points. Don't go daft, you see people painting the hole, the back of the pad, you never need to. So there you go, copper strip, 2 contact points there. Oh, and also put in, where's me? I've just put it doing, it's there. So you got, resting this on my knees hard. So you got your wear indicator here, that just clicks in the top of the pad, like that. And that will go on to, into there like that. There like that. And that hangs out the back. And what it does is it comes through the gap in the caliper and plugs in here. So make sure you got this free. You can put this in afterwards, but it's more awkward. The inside pad, again, ends greased up. Where the caliper contacts the back of the pad, a little bit of grease on there. Don't go silly, just enough so it'll help it move freely. So once you've got the caliper back on, get your wear indicator and it just plugs in. Give it a good wiggle. Wiggle, make sure it's on. Like that. Hunky dory. Next we're going to quickly just set up a handbrake. So make sure its handbrake's obviously off and out of gear. Right, so take the rotate the disc until you got a hole about the 3 o'clock position, and then the what do you call it? The adjuster will be in here. Just put the screwdriver in, locate it until you can just feel it. If you look through the torch, you'll be able to see where it is, and then just wind that on until you just get a hold of the disc. So there you go. I've just wound that up. And as you can see, slight resistance on it. There is slight resistance on it. I can't turn it because I'm trying to do it one-handed, but I can't turn it. Hold on. Let's see if I can rest that leg like that. Nope. Rest that leg like that. I don't know whether you saw that or not, but yeah, it does turn. So I'll give that a clean off with some brake clean, throw the wheel back on. So that is how you do rear disc pads and set the handbrake shoes on a Sprinter.